Hi, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Let's Analyze This. Welcome back to our channel. Today, we're going to be talking about why feminism is misunderstood in society. This is a topic that I'm very passionate about, and so we're going to bear it all on the table. We're going to lay it all out and analyze it. Before we get into it, I'm going to introduce you to our panel for today. And as usual, we have my lovely co-host, Talia. And we have two returning guests on our show today. First of all, we have Oida. Say hi, Oyi.
Hi, guys.
And we have again Mr. Ade on our show. Welcome back, Ade.
Hi.
Hi. So yeah, let's analyze it, guys. Feminism. On social media, in day-to-day life, everywhere you go, you hear the talk of feminism. There are women who hate men. Some people say there are women who hate men. There's single women who can't get men. There are angry women who are lesbians, and all those kind of stuff. There are lots of things out there. Before we get into the topic, really, I want to ask, like, everybody, who is there anybody that identifies as a feminist amongst us?
Yeah, I'm
That would be
feminist.
me.
I think for the true definition of a feminist, or
Mm-hmm.
what I understand as feminism, I
Mm-hmm.
could identify as a feminism as a
Oh,
feminist rather
okay.
as well.
Okay. And Mr.
Thank
Ade is remaining, either he doesn't want to label himself, or
you.
he's saying, I am not a feminist. Which one is it, Ade?
I am not.
Oh
Okay.
my.
Okay.
Okay, amazing. We'll get into why you're not, if you should be, or if it's really irrelevant. Because I want to say, before we kind of completely go into the topic, I want to say you're just one of the people who don't like labels as such. So, yeah, let's get into it. Okay, I want to define feminism first before we get into it. And it is defined as the theory of the political, economic, and social equality of the sexes. So by that definition on its own, Ade, do you think that women shouldn't, you know, have equal political, economic, and social benefits as men?
I think they should. I mean, in the sense of, I think you're talking about pay. They should have this equal pay.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, it goes for to say, in the case of maternity pay, what happens to the dad? Where do we put the dad? The emotional support. What support did dad get? Having a baby. I mean, it can be misused. The word feminism can be misused, and you can drag it to the next level. And like, okay, we're both on the train going to the same work, but a woman comes on the train. I'm expected to stand up for her to sit down, and
Mm-hmm.
we get the same pay, same job, same everything. Why should that be the case?
So, who expects you to do that? Let me just ask
This is
that first of all.
society.
Society expects it.
Yes,
So patriarchy essentially is you feeling like you have to open a door for a woman, you have to get up for a woman to sit down on the train, and all that kind of stuff,
they
right?
have
Is that
to see.
feminism or is it patriarchy?
I think it's having the prime balance. It's difficult to say. It's a catch 22.
So, so you've essentially said you're expected by society to get up for a woman to sit down, to hold the door for a lady type of thing, all that kind of stuff, um, which really
That's chivalry.
isn't the definition.
It's chivalry.
It's chivalry, exactly, and that's not the definition that I just read. So, right,
Can you read the
you
definition again?
Say that again.
Repeat your definition. Can you read it out again, please? If
Okay,
that's
so
not too
it's
much.
defined as the theory of the political, economic, and social equality of the sexes.
Okay.
Yeah, so chivalry, like somebody paying on the first, a man paying on the first date, a man, opening, holding the door open, or a man, getting up for a woman on the train, really and truly isn't what feminism is about. So I just wanted to put that out there. So if that's what you're kind of leaning towards, I just wanted to say that. Is there something that you want to say? Because you look like you're getting ready to say something, Ade.
No, I mean, if you get on the train, when a woman is pregnant, in particular, they have a priority seat.
Yeah.
What happens to the baby daddy on the train?
Is
But
he
he's not the
pregnant
one
and
carrying the
burdened?
baby.
Yeah.
Pardon?
Are you the one pregnant and carrying extra, you know,
Carrying a
extra
human
pounds?
inside
Let's say
you.
it that way.
Pardon?
Pardon? Are you the one carrying the extra pounds? Why do you need extra seat? Because you're a dad. The reason why a woman gets priority seats is because the baby on board thing that you get from the London Tube is so
TPL.
that
Oh,
because
yeah.
you're carrying, it's just like somebody that has a walking stick, for example. There are priority seats for those people as well. And
No,
I don't go on.
okay. I think what I'm trying to say is having a dad with the knapsack in front, with the baby in front of him,
Mm-hmm.
one that has, you're likely to get a seat if you're a woman, if two of you are carrying a baby.
Yeah, possibly. That is true. That is what
I
society
think
kind of does.
that's what I'm trying to get at. More like two people, one man is having a baby in his hand and a woman is having a baby. The woman is likely to get a seat first. The man is strong enough, he can hold the baby up.
So Oyinda, you did raise your hand to say that you were a feminist, didn't you? Identify as one.
Yeah, yes,
Okay,
yes.
so can you kind of tell me what kind of made you, for me personally, I used to stay away from the label and say, oh, I'm not a feminist. But I had feminist ideologies and I was with the movement essentially. And then I read about it and then I studied it and I thought, you know what, there's no use saying I'm not a feminist because there are some extremists like we have in religion as well, and
Exactly.
say, you know what, I don't want the label. I want the label now. I carry the label, I wear the label. And so before I go into what kind of, made me say I identify as a feminist, I want to ask you what kind of made you, you know, start
Become one
labeling
as
yourself as such.
well. Yeah, I think also it has to do with like part of the reasons you were mentioning as well that you believe in all these things, you know what they are, you want equality, not just with it runs deeper than pay, than children, it's everywhere, economical, so it's everything, even in racism, in it's just it's in
Mhm.
every single thing. So what's the point of not having the labels? Like, you're a hypocrite to me personally. That's why I think, like, I believe in this thing but I don't want to say it out. Why not? If I'm
Right.
proud of it, so why not let anyone know? Because it's not as if I'm doing something bad. And yeah, it's often easy to mistake feminists for misandrists, which are the
Right.
extremists, which I feel like that's what a lot of people miss. And you just have to educate yourself. It's not my job as a feminist to educate you. You should educate yourself. You should find out, okay, why is this person, with this movement, why is this person doing this? What's this label all about, in quotes?
Okay, let me ask you this quickly. So you've just said it's not my job as a feminist to educate you. So
Right.
while we're talking about race relations and saying that we need white people essentially as allies in our fight for equality of of all races essentially,
Yeah.
do you not think that we should, as feminists, except somebody doesn't really want to know about it. If somebody wants to be educated on it, do you not think
Mm.
that we should educate them?
Yeah, I'm saying we should educate them, but I feel like if you are privileged, you should understand your privilege. And I feel
Right.
like that's how you understand oppression as well. You know, you have to
Mm-hmm.
see yourself as coming from a place of privilege and then
Right.
understand that, oh, this person is oppressed. That's how you completely get it. And, you know, if we keep saying these things over and over again, this is what we want, equality, you know, we just want equals. That's it. We're not asking, we don't hate men. You know, you have the misconception, feminists hate men, you know,
Yeah.
lesbians, and no, we don't. We just want equal rights, you know, things like that. So I feel like if you know, if you keep saying that thing and then someone keeps hammering on it and say, oh, this is not what feminism is, it's up to them to educate them, you know, educate themselves. You've tried, you know, there's so many things. There's Google today. You just go online and you know you see so many easy articles. You can read about it yourself. Because okay, let me give you a simple example. For men, football. If somebody is talking about some player and they know nothing about, nobody tells them before they go online and check, you know, what it is. They
Mm-hmm.
to find out what's into, you know, what's into
Mm-hmm.
that, all that. So it's the same with feminism. Why can't you educate yourself about it? Why are you
Right.
being selective about what you want to check and
Right.
you know,
Right.
things like that? Yeah. So that's
Okay.
what.
Let me come to you, Talia. So as a woman, and okay, kind of a backstory of how the first wave of feminism even happened. Um, it kind of is, well, it's believed to have started during the First World War,
World War, yeah.
where men had to go to war and women had to find jobs and cater for the family, essentially, which was something that men predominantly did. And so when the men came back from the war and tried to push the
Take
women back into
over.
the kitchen, the women were like, no, this freedom of being able to work and being able to care for my family and not having to wait for a man to provide for me. And then came, the rights to vote with it and all that kind of stuff. If I'm contributing to society, then I should be able to vote. I should be able to say who I want to, you know, rule, essentially, or to be my, um, to be the president, or to vote, essentially. So to ask you, Talia, as a woman who has benefited from the fight of feminists, and for you to be able to be where you are today and have the right to vote, have the right to work, have the right to equal pay, even though we're not quite there yet, how can you not identify as a feminist?
Well, I think it's probably part of what Oyin said when she said that people don't want the label, or was it you that said it? Yeah, someone
Yeah.
mentioned that. Like I said, for the pure definition of,
Mm-hmm.
wanting the equal pay, of course, I agree with the equal pay. I agree with the fact that women should be able to decide on who rules them. I agree with everything equality. I think for me, it's because I've seen so many extremists
Yes.
in the feminist industry that I'm like, okay, I don't think I agree with that. And I feel like maybe that's what feminism is about, you know? So for that reason alone, I can't identify
You
with
can't
that view
label
because
yourself.
I don't agree with that part of, the
Okay.
you know the
Of
the
the
part
movement. Of the
of the
movement.
of,
Yeah.
of the of the extreme ideas. So when it comes to equality, I agree. Women
Yeah.
definitely, we work as hard, so why can't we get the same pay?
Right.
We read as well. We're very learned people, so why can't we have the choice to vote on who we want to rule us? But when it goes further into, because I have never ever read anything about feminism for that pure reason,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
because I just don't believe with most of the
Yeah.
ideas.
Yeah. And for me to kind of go into that, um, I think maybe you it has to do with interest in your case. That's what it sounds like. Because to me, there are so many Christians, popes, or in the missionary, sleeping with men, sleeping with the boys in their care, abusing them. And there's the cases of pastors taking advantage of their congregation and all that kind of stuff. But you still label yourself as a Christian, is that correct? Yeah.
Absolutely, because
Yeah.
I think faith is different from a movement. Feminism is a movement. Who you choose to, a lot of feminists are Christians. That doesn't take away the fact that obviously popes are abusing men and pastors are abusing their congregation.
Yeah.
Doesn't take that away from them.
Yeah.
The reason why, for me, I can't, like I said, for the pure definition of what the word is, yes, I would class myself as a feminist. But when we start to go into the whole, women don't like men, because there's some women that are feminists that don't like men.
Yeah, there
that
are.
they say, oh, they're lesbians because they're feminists, and they can't get married because they can't be under a man, and for that reason I can't agree with that, because I'm married, and how the hell will I say I can't live under a man, or I can't agree with that part of it. So I rather not have the label.
Okay, so I mean, I think feminism would also not a feminist would also not say she's under a man. Is we wouldn't say we're under a man, because we're not under a man. We are equal partners in a union with a man. Is that kind of correct? Or
From your feminist views,
from the definition of feminism, you are not under a man. It's not by my definition.
But in a marriage, though, in a marriage,
You're not under a man.
From the Bible days, the husband is the head, and that's that. You can be equal partners with your husband still being the head. The fact that your husband is the head, he doesn't take away your rights as a woman. And to be honest with you, the fact that I can say my husband is the head doesn't mean that he runs the home. I run the home, because I'm actually the neck that holds the head. So essentially, what I say, to be honest, what I say in my home pretty much goes, because my husband will say yes, 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 because he wants to keep me happy. So the fact that he's the head of the home, yes, I respect him, I cook for him, and I do everything that a wife should do. But he's the head, but he doesn't run the home. I run the home. I'm the woman.
A wife should cook. A wife should cook. Do you think that it's a wife's duty to cook?
Predominantly, if your husband can cook some of the meals, then sure, so be it. When I come back from work and I'm like, oh, is there food? Yes, if my husband has cooked, there will be food. But if there isn't, I'll go to the fridge and help myself.
Yeah.
My husband he can assist me. I think that this is probably the part that I don't agree when it comes to feminism. I think it takes away a lot of the fundamentals that we have grown up with.
Culture.
Yes, it takes away our fundamentals. And I think that you can be a feminist, but you can still hold your fundamental values sacred.
A lot of what feminism represents also has to do with choice. Okay, so feminism does not say a woman shouldn't cook, or that a woman shouldn't be a full housewife or a stay-at-home mom, if that's what we want to call it.
Right.
Feminism just states that it has to be her choice. She shouldn't do it because that is what is expected of her. And it's essentially what Ade, I want to kind of get because you've been quite quiet. I want to kind of get you in here
I've got 3 women on here.
Yeah, well, that's why we needed a man to kind of, because for one, you don't identify as a feminist, and from
I think my opinion, nature itself has made you a woman by nature. Doesn't make you. I mean, we can say in quotes, you are of the weaker sex, but as long as someone is not impeaching or infringing your rights, as long as your rights are being met,
protected,
you're saying no one is bridging your rights. Your rights is not. No one is saying you can't vote, you can't do what you're supposed to do, you can't eat out, you can't wear trousers, you can't cut your hair, or you can't. I mean, if those things are not, then I don't see an issue here. Like,
so what about the pay gap then? 83 pence to £1 for men. Same qualification, same industry, but a
Yeah.
woman gets 83 pence to a man's pound. What do you say? Are we equal?
I mean, I'm against that. I'm of the opinion. My opinion is I'm against that. That is not. I mean, I'm not. I'm against that. That's what I would say. Against pay inequality. I'm against that in that sense.
Okay.
However, moving forward, it's you need to know you're a woman, and he needs to
And
know
you
he's a
need to
man.
know your place.
Know your place.
Yeah, basically. I mean, God has created a woman not to do the job of a man or not to be a man.
What is the job of a man, Ade?
You started with, it's like we saying we want to play football. I have a male team, you have a female team. Who do you think is going to win that football match?
But that's not equality, though.
What is it?
So you want us to play together?
No, no, no. You have your team, female team 11. I have my female 11. I have my male 11
Yeah.
team.
Sorry. You want us to play against each other?
Yes.
Well, that's not what it's about. It's not about. It's not a
It's strength. It's not a
about
competition of
strength.
So,
strength.
so that's
No.
what I'm saying. By
Nobody
nature,
is
as
saying.
nature would define it.
Yeah,
I don't know how
but
to put it in words. It is what it is.
you're talking
Yeah.
about strength. It is
No,
clear to us that a
I-
man.
for example, I'm not saying the strength. Of course, strength comes into sports. Some women run faster than men. We can say running sport, any sports. You can say swimming, but they're not going to put that in the same category.
No.
Well, yeah, because
Why?
they separate them for a reason,
Why?
because according to your strength, because if you're training, if as a woman I'm training to run, there's only so much that I can do with not
In,
having so much
in
testosterone, huh?
boxing is weight. They can weigh them together. We can weigh equally and go to the boxing ring.
Sorry, but feminism doesn't talk about physicals. It talks about social, economical. So I feel
Right.
like talking about strength is just
And
way out of it, because we're not saying that, women are stronger. We're not saying
yeah,
women are stronger than men. What we're saying is that if this man can go to a university, graduate with a first class degree,
Yeah.
I go to a university, graduate with a first class degree,
right.
why are you then paying £1 and you're paying me 83 pence?
Yeah.
I feel like that's really what it is. Not even about strength, because we can't, you really cannot compare strength.
My examples,
You're
strength.
talking. We're talking. There are two things that you're
So
talking about now,
essentially,
Ade.
the equality is not on every aspect,
Yeah,
Ade.
strength is secondary. It's not. That's not. I'm saying. I'm talking about equality. I know you're
Okay.
making
Yeah.
social base, but I'm saying by nature. I was just giving an example. Naturally, I don't
Yeah,
know.
but I feel like that shouldn't the physical side of it is just like talking about women growing boobs and men not having boobs.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with feminism or
Yeah.
men having balls and women. Pardon me. Um, you know, what's that got to? Oh, I can grow bigger boobs than you. Oh, I can.
No.
Talking about strength and
So
talking about parts. He's away. Sorry. Talking about strength and physical attributes of physical strength of both of us, or any attributes in general, is just like saying, oh, in general women are prettier than men
So
or
let me
something.
get this straight.
I had to check and see, because I don't identify as a Christian or a Muslim or any religion really.
Yeah.
And
So
so I had to see, because I know the one thing that Christians like to say is, oh, but the Bible says he's the head of the home. Yeah. The head does not mean that you cease to be equal. And so I checked and said, does the Bible support feminism? And they're just a host of scriptures that would signify that that God sees all of us as
Equal.
equal and as the same, essentially. Because I mean, I have it right in front of me, but I don't really want to. I can put the link in the description box, but
don't go into that debate. You're not going to win.
why is
But hence the reason why when I said what I said as the husband being the head, I also said that the wives run the home. So
Yeah.
regardless of, I think
But
I think
Tanya,
sometimes people misconstrue what is really meant by, the husband is the head. The husband is the head doesn't mean that he's superior. The
Yeah,
husband is the head. I think it gives that home a guidance to go
yeah.
by. It gives that
Like
home a
just a
structure
leader.
to
We
say.
need a leader. Yeah, I think.
Right. It gives that home, not, I wouldn't even necessarily say a leader, because like I used my home as an example. Even though my husband is the head, I run the ship. In the sense that my husband, before he wants to make any crucial decision, he will definitely speak to me about it. And
okay,
he definitely would take even though he might end up doing what he decided to do, but we've had that conversation, and he might decide that actually
yeah,
maybe my point isn't valid,
yeah,
or he
yeah.
thinks that yeah. So it's not
But
necessarily
Tanya,
because your
then,
husband is the head and we're buying down to him. No, I don't
but
think
then,
that's
if
that's a
if he's seen
misconception.
as the head in, according to the scriptures, um, what then? And you say, even though your husband is the head of the home, you're still running the ship. Really and truly, what relevance is there to being the head?
Like I said, it's
From a Christian, point of view. Ade, do you want to
I
kind of?
think it goes back to knowing your place. She can run the home, but she respects the husband at the head. Before she make decisions, she will run it by him. It's the
Yeah, but
same
he
thing we do.
also runs decisions by her. So, what
Yeah. So
perks are there
it,
to being
I mean,
what?
is it? I'll use the workplace as an example. Before you do stuff, if you're a deputy and you have the manager, you will run it past your manager, and sometimes your manager will run it past you as well before that decision is made in that
So
organization.
essentially, head does nothing because we're
It's
still
not,
running
no,
everything past each other.
no, it's
well,
Can I say something
Honestly,
quickly?
of the discussion.
From my own understanding of, in the Bible, how God described the husband as the head and the woman as the church was basically from a point of, if there's no church, what is the man going to lead? And then if there's a church and then there's no leader, how is there like
yeah,
coordinates? How is there like, togetherness? It was like a together relationship. It was like an equal partnership. Like I need this person to be able to do that, and I need this other person to be able to do that.
Exactly.
So when people often, talk about Bible and say, "Oh, wives, submit yourself to the husband," they don't go for that because the Bible also says husbands as well. You have to
Submit,
submit yourself.
of course.
So people are so quick to just jump on that
pull
first
something out.
first and
Yeah.
just live like that. So I feel like the Bible, yes, talks about the husband being the head, but it also gives the reasons why, as
Mm-hmm.
supposed to, the husband has to be the head, and why the wife has to take, not be a partner, or be a supportive system in that sense. I don't know if that makes sense. So
yeah, it makes sense.
yeah.
When God created Adam, he created Eve from Adam's ribs because he wanted Adam to have a partner.
Mm-hmm.
So even though Adam was first, I think even in that story itself, we can get the concept,
Yeah.
or the idea of
Make
what God was trying to do. He didn't definitely feel that Adam was smarter. That's why he created Adam. Because heck, Eve made Adam, eat the apple.
Yeah,
So essentially, even though Adam is the head, Adam was made first, but
so
Eve still
why?
had a crucial role to play in Adam's life. So
Yeah.
it's a partnership. It is a partnership. But I
Yeah.
just don't agree with when feminists come out and say, well, I think in the eyes of a feminist, I think they take it that one step further. And I think it can be confusing for someone who hasn't found their bearing in terms of like where they stand in their life, and
They
if
take
they
it one
want to
step
get married.
further, as in how?
I'm going there. They take it one step further to say, like, oh, women, you're not under a man. They do it. They do it in a way, like I said, that is so confusing to a person who hasn't found their bearing. They say, oh, because women can't be under a, they say women can't be under a man, so therefore, you're a feminist when you think a woman is, when I can't even get my words out. But you're a feminist when you think that you can't be under a man, or when you're not under a man, or when or when you understand that you can run your own life, or that you shouldn't take directions from a man. I genuinely believe that no matter how strong a wife is, you
Mm-hmm.
definitely definitely need that guidance from your husband, because there are decisions that I would have made that if I didn't have my husband's support or my husband's mouth.
Okay, sorry. I just want to quickly say
No, I had
something
finished.
to what she said about how they're like extremists, which are like the misandrists that would, I feel like it plays in like every single part of our lives. When someone is talking about something and you are sure of it, you've read about it, what that person says doesn't really bother you. It's like the word of God. As Christians now, you know the Bible, you know what the Bible says. If someone else comes to you and gives you an opposing opinion, something that but
Yeah.
because you know what you've read and this is what it says, you're not
Exactly.
to believe what that person says. So I feel like that's what feminism too is all about. Yes, in every just like Muslims now, how like there's Boko Haram, they're extremists,
Yeah,
and things like that.
extremists.
But there are Muslims that they know what the Quran
A
says.
very
That's not
nice.
exactly that's not what the Quran says. So I feel like yes, feminism is a movement, but the kind of guidelines or the kind of principles are very similar to, what we go through in our daily lives as well. Like, I know what these things is. I know what feminism says. So what that person is saying, this person is not a feminist, this person is a misandrist,
Exactly.
It's just
Just
like
because somebody
eagerness as
says,
well.
just
So
because somebody says I'm a feminist does not actually make them a feminist.
mm,
Yeah.
Because we see many churches and many pastors doing the hocus pocus, I'm the liquid metal, and oh whatever. A true Christian will tell you, that's not a Christian. That's not you know, something does not lose its meaning just because somebody else misunderstands it. So
mm,
Mm.
I think that there's a bit of a there's a bit of how will I say it?
unlearning to be done, I think. People
Not
need to
even not even not even that's not what I'm trying to, I can't quite find my words, but I think that before somebody goes out and says, oh, I'm not a feminist, and feminists are angry, and feminists are bitter women, and all that kind of stuff, and they think they can't be under a man. No, yeah, no. Talia, you are not under a man. You're calling it under a man, but really and truly, you are, from the definition that you
I
just
never
gave.
said I was. I
okay.
never said I was under a man. Did I say I was under a man? I said my husband is the head. Just the fact that he is the head doesn't necessarily mean that he runs my life. He doesn't run my life. He doesn't run his children's life.
But
I do.
when you
But he
just gave
is the
the
man. And I feel like in my home I will give him that respect as a man. So for instance, if my husband says he doesn't like something, I'll refrain from doing it because he's the man. And if he says doesn't like it, I won't do it. If my husband says I don't want you to post my children on social media, I won't post them because why? He's their father. And if my husband says I don't want my kids to do this, I will say okay. He doesn't want them to do this
does it,
because they are his children.
yeah, they
There's
are.
only so much. There's only so much decision that I can make as the woman where the kids are concerned and where our home is concerned. Even though I make a decision, but I have to make sure that he agrees with them. If he
Okay.
doesn't agree with them, we don't do it.
Okay.
Doesn't mean he runs me. He can't decide what job I take, if I take the job, if I don't take the job. But there's certain things that just has to, you know, fall into
No,
place.
I just said that because, and I want to kind of take this away from Talia and go to Ade a little bit. I said that because in Talia's earlier explanation, she said, oh,
Mhm.
feminists will say they can't be under a man,
A
or
lot
that
of them
kind of stuff.
do though. And I think that's probably what has put me off the
But why
label
did it
as a
put you off
feminist.
if
Well,
you're
because I
saying
don't
you're
want to
not
be
under
I
a
don't
man
want
either?
I don't want
I
yeah,
think I think it's like what
I wouldn't go to the extreme and say, well, yeah, therefore a man can't tell me, because they do. They say a man can't tell me nothing. Some of them can't stay in a marriage or can't be in a relationship because they don't feel, and that's what causes I think if you know yourself or if you know where you're coming from, you will understand the reason or you understand the concept of feminism better than listening to what there's a lot of angry feminists, if I have to put it that way, that don't want nothing. They hate men. They hate men. And that's the reason why feminism is misunderstood. It's because of this, because with every label comes a bad, and sometimes the bad, unfortunately, regardless of how small, it overshadows the good. That's just life.
Unfortunately, I don't quite agree with that in this case, because with people who say they're not feminists, having benefited from the feminist movement, I think that, you know, um, whether men like it or not, men have also benefited from the feminist movement, because
Mm-hmm.
it's a feminist movement that's going to make a woman not depend on a man to take
Mm-hmm.
care of her and say, you know what, I want to work hard and I want to work. My husband works, I want to work as well, because I want us to be partners. I don't want him to be burdened by my, my needs or my family's needs and that kind of stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
yes, a lot of what feminism is about also is cruel and is beneficial to a man as well. So as I get what you want to say, and um
I was just going to add to what Onye said in relation to what Talia was saying. Basically, what it is it's having the support of the men, and being sometimes men are just there to encourage you. You don't have to seek. I mean, even if you seek their opinion, it's just a second opinion. It's not like you're not going to do what you're going to do anyway. Because
mm,
I've had women, they'll say, "Oh, I'm going to ask," but they already know what they're going to do. And there's a way you say, you table it to the man, it's going to say yes, and it's going to say no. So sometimes it's just having that second opinion. It's like a second guidance. But coming from a man, just it validates it. It doesn't mean that you have to. You don't necessarily have
yeah,
to. So
I feel like even if a man says no,
you
and
have to do it anyway if you're going to do
you
it. If
can
you
do
believe in it strongly, you're going to.
exactly.
Absolutely.
That's the
Yeah.
thing. Like that's the
It's choice.
misconception about feminism. Like it's like, oh, because oh, I don't want to discuss anything with. Those are the extremists, and I find that's very sad.
But
That's the
but
word I was.
I think what Talia was trying to say, in every movement, you would always find the extremists. You will
Oh
always
yeah,
find,
definitely.
Absolutely,
Hmm.
like,
absolutely.
in
But
every
then,
club, you find the Judas. You always find those, and those can literally put you off. And sometimes,
absolutely, absolutely.
and
That's why people
sometimes they
talk
take,
about
yeah,
Islam the way they talk about Islam, because
yeah.
look at what is going on in the
Islam
Middle
is a
East,
religion of,
and
it's
Yeah,
like Islam is a religion of peace, but the people
yeah,
carrying out these acts are
yeah,
exactly.
individuals,
absolutely,
which we should actually pinpoint. Like, you pick them out of Islam, but
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they're covering themselves with the umbrella of Islam. It goes a long
exactly,
way. The news
exactly. Which
of Islam,
exactly, which
man. Yeah, so
absolutely, and that's
which
the
is,
thing
in this
of
case, it's similar to what Talia is saying. So some feminists that are the extremists, they tend to overpower those little ones that we want to do, or they're in the in position, power position. They are the Presbyterians, they are the leaders of churches, they are the leaders of here, they are the leaders in organizations. So they tend to have overpower those. Actually, the purpose, you then use the concept of it in that process.
Exactly.
Oh
Exactly.
yeah, I was going to say that a lot of misunderstanding that goes on with feminists has been so like is rooted from our culture, mostly like maybe from our moms or like
Yeah,
our parents,
yeah,
where they often see the boy as a superior child to the
yep.
girl,
Mm,
and so that has spoiled a lot of things because you
yeah.
hear them say, "Oh, boy doesn't belong in the kitchen, and a girl should be in the kitchen." Whereas cooking is a way of, it's a fun, it's something you should learn. It's not gender specific. Everyone should know how to cook, to be honest, because you need it to survive. So
Absolutely.
I feel like a lot of old women,
generation.
yeah, have lived and thrived of patriarchy so much that you can't tell them any other thing.
All right.
So it's so important that this kind of movement is happening now, and it still has a long way to go, because for example in Nigeria, a woman cannot file for her husband to become a citizen. They don't.
If he's a non-Nigerian, if
Yeah,
your
if
husband
she's
is a
Nigerian, her
non-Nigerian,
husband is not Nigerian, she can't file for him to stay. So it still comes from a place as they don't see
Talia,
us.
do you get it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now I
They
do.
don't see
Yeah.
us as having that power in general.
It's, it's the same as UAE as well. in Arab
That's
countries, same.
Of
say
course.
so. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I mean,
Those are countries where women are second class citizens.
Yeah.
It's
yeah,
you know, that's what it is.
yeah,
And that is the issue. Women can't even drive. I think they've recently been allowed to start
yeah,
driving.
yeah. Saudi
Yeah.
Women are not allowed to.
Men can drive.
in
Say that
Only
Saudi
again.
Arabia, they just allowed.
Yeah.
Thing is, in the UAE countries, I think women are allowed to drive now, but the husband have to sign. Even some few years back, they have to sign
That
you to
is
work. Oh,
absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. So
yeah.
yeah, I mean, we can honestly, what I just want to get out, and I get very, hot and bothered when I talk about feminism, and I guess somebody somewhere will class me as the angry feminist, but
It's because of you.
it can't be because of me.
Angry
Um,
feminist.
so somebody somewhere will say, oh yeah, so I really 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 refrain from talking about feminism and religion unless it's brought to me. It's not something that I would deliberately or intentionally go into, because it's just something that I feel very strongly about, and being on opposite um spectrums on
Yeah,
both topics. When it comes
yeah,
to religion, I'm very anti-religion, and when it comes to feminism, I'm very pro-religion. So you kind of have like, that's why I stay away from them, because, and when I say
Yeah.
and
You're extremist.
that's what I'm not an extremist, and I'm
When-
sure
Okay.
I everything that I do in my house, I still run it by my partner. I cook, I clean, I still, I would still do laundry, I would still do everything that
But you believe that he should do as much as you're doing.
no, I don't. I don't
If you
Okay.
believe
guys,
that he should do as much as I'm doing. I
okay,
Okay.
just believe
okay,
that in any capacity that we agree, he should pull his weight.
okay, I have a question for you.
Okay.
If you
yeah.
guys go out to dinner, you're gonna go Dutch.
No, we don't. We don't ever go Dutch.
So what happens?
I pay, he pays, somebody
I
pays.
feel like
And
as
usually his money is my money is his money. We're a household.
Okay.
Honestly, if listen, we don't have like a joint account or something, but we both have brains, right? If I see that he's spent too much on things around the house, I'm not silly as a person. I'm just gonna be like, you know what, you hold off. I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to do this, or I just do them even without him knowing. So it's not a thing of um, you know, anything that starts with, because you're a man, you have to do this. I detest anything that
Right.
says, because you're a woman, you have to cook. Because you're a woman, because you're a man, you have to pay the rent a day. I just, I just,
And can I just ask the question, because I'm just wondering. So why? Because you believe that obviously equality, right? And obviously that's in your home as well. So so I would have thought, gone with the fact that you both have to do equal
Yeah.
things in the
we
house.
are
So
equal. We do equal
yeah.
things.
So in terms of, because you mentioned that you you cook, you look after the kids and everything. And then my question to you was, but do you expect that he should do as much as you were doing? And you said no.
No, I
So
don't
why is
expect him
that?
to do as much.
So
See,
why
that's
is that though?
okay. So
Because
Because
feminism would say that you should do as much as each other.
I feel like
no,
it's a
not cook as
use
much.
the word
well.
as equal as equal. Let the
Yeah,
Sorry?
equality
I
play.
think it's a matter of choice as well.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah. It's a
there's no obligation. Like that's the
Wait, let
problem.
me
You
just
don't want
quickly
to.
answer her question. And that is to say, so just because he cooks, he cleans, I cook, I clean. So just because we do it does not mean that we have a rota to say, oh, I've done it 3 times. You two have to do it 3 times. Okay, so he doesn't do it as much. But while I do some things, he does other things. So that's how we balance each other out. A woman can even be the one that's in charge of the cooking in the house, but you don't say you're cooking because you're a woman. No, we've assigned it to you because that's where your strength lies. That's what you enjoy doing. That's what you know how to do. Whereas I, as a man, I enjoy cooking, I enjoy cleaning, or I enjoy, fixing things around the house, doing the DIY. I'm good with the finances, and I take care of that aspect of things. That is us working together, even though in different departments, we're still working together as a unit. That's why in
Right.
some
So it's more
instances,
strength.
I think
looking at you, and even how I know that your household kind of functions, and how you've explained, to a large extent, I would say that you're a feminist. You just don't label yourself as one duty extremist, which is okay. One could even say, I'm not labeling myself as a Christian because of
Extremist.
not really. I don't think it's really because of extremists, but some people might believe so based on how I word things sometimes. And so the notion that women want to do less and be above men is just not has nothing to do with equality, and it doesn't mean that women can't play the traditional roles in their homes. That's not what it means at all. It just means that as a family we work together um to we work together as one in different ways. A man can even, we were talking about this in a previous show, a man can even be the one that is solely responsible for the finances in the home, and the woman does all the traditional roles. It's her choice. She can still identify, she can still call herself a feminist, because if she tomorrow decides, I want to go to work, her husband's not going to say, no, you're not allowed. No,
Okay.
that's not how it works.
I
It's
think
just
I kind of get it a bit more, because, like I said to you, it's really misinterpreted because of
yeah,
these extremists. Now, these people,
absolutely,
yeah, I kind of
absolutely.
understand it more.
I
So it,
honestly, and I've said to you in the past, I think that it is. I said that I would say that to 90. I said I'll give you I hadn't asked you if you were a feminist or not, but I said I think by 98% from what I know of you, you are a feminist. I think I said 98 or 95, but that's because I know that. And even though your husband will say I'm not a feminist either, I live with a man that doesn't consider himself a feminist. Yeah, so I understand the misunderstanding when it comes to feminism and what it entails,
feminism.
but there's nobody that's a bigger feminist than him. And that's just the truth of the matter. Many people say I'm not a feminist. That's a lie. As long as your husband gives you all of the choices, which I know that you have, Talia, as long as you have you can decide tomorrow and say, you know what, I want to take an extra shift. Nobody is going to tell you, are you mad?
No, I don't
You
ask.
feel
I just take.
exactly. Yeah,
I
yeah,
say,
yeah,
oh, I'm going to work
yeah. But
today.
then still,
I'm
you
going
see,
tomorrow.
I worded it that way because there still has to be some communication in terms of who's going to pick the children from school. So if you decided to pick a new shift and said, hello, my husband, I am going to work tomorrow, and the
Mm.
children, this and this and that, it's still something that you can do. You allow the freedom. Some people, unfortunately, are not afforded the same freedom, and that's why there is the movement to kind of support women, and to make sure that we get equal pay, to make sure that we have all of these rights that are afforded women.
I think, yeah, I get it more now. So feminism is a freedom movement of choice.
Exactly.
Right. So I never
So,
thought.
so what happens to someone that chooses to be under a man?
That's her
That's
choice.
her
It's a
choice.
matter of choice. That's the thing. The way feminism is that it's not. We don't want what society has obligated you to do. Society expects you to do this. You should do it because you want to do it, not
Yeah,
because the
not.
society expects you to do it. So I really, that's what feminism is about. It's about choice.
Let me
I'm
read
choosing to do
something
it
to
because
you.
I enjoy doing
Let
this.
me read something
Uh,
to you, Ade. Let me read
yeah.
something to you. It says, feminists believe each person should be viewed based on their individual strengths and capabilities as human beings, not the strengths and capabilities assumed of their gender. So no, don't say, oh, because he's a man, he has to do this. Because he's a no, but if it's his choice to provide for his home, what is your
Mm.
own?
Like pay the rent and
If it's his choice to pay the rent, what's your own?
I like that choice though. I like the choice of paying the rent and paying the mortgage.
The way I run my home will be different from the way Oyinda runs her home.
Yes.
Right? We're still both feminists, as long as, and some people will say, oh, if you're a stay-at-home mom, you're not a feminist. Those are the extremists again. They'll say, if you're a stay-at-home mom, you're not a feminist because women did not fight hard for you to sit at home and be taking care of the home and be playing traditional roles. That again.
I agree with you, but I think it's when it's misused or when it's
and it's misused a lot. That's
okay.
why
Let me ask you this. Ade, as a man.
From what you guys are saying, it seems like it's an empowering movement to empower women.
Yeah.
They felt that they want to do right. But I think
women.
it can also be overstepping or misused.
So can religion. So can things that you hold dear to yourself as well. So can every label, really. But let me ask you this, Ade, and I want to ask you this, Talia, as well. A woman is said to have more holidays within the year in a work environment. Say, for example, say a woman has to, if the children are ill, it's mostly women that will take time off work. And let's say, she's on her period. Some people have, very heavy periods that requires them to shut the blinds and stay at home and not work. And some people say, how can you claim to be equal when, we don't have equal amounts of holidays or time offs, and you have more time offs a year than I do? Does that kind of impact what you say as well, to say, really, you're not equal? Does that play a role in that as well, Talia?
No, I think that's nature. That's nature. You can't take that away. But I think it's when it's being misused. And I think that's what I was saying from the beginning when you said about the boobs thing. I'm saying it's nature. Menstrual period, getting pregnant, looking up maybe more than the husband. It is in the nature of a woman. Taking time, maternity, all those things. It's something you can't take away.
But
saying that about maternity, though, men take paternity as well.
Well, and women, again, women are fighting. Feminist movement is fighting for men to get more paternity leave, because right now they only have meager 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
What is that?
But they can share it. So these days they can share it. So the woman takes half of it, and then the man takes half of it.
The last meeting, I'll stay at home 1 year. My husband can go to work.
Me, I'll stay at home 1 year. That's my
that is choice. Your choice.
It's my choice.
It's just yeah. That is
your choice. But for men,
but let me say
who
something
want
about
to do it.
The question you just asked. To be honest, men take as much time off as women these days because men have men flu. There's sometimes that a man will just decide that, what, I don't feel like going to work, and they'll stay at home. Ade is true.
But Talia,
and
you know what?
And it's most prominent in our profession, in our line, Ade, in healthcare. Men take more time off. It might not be more, but they can take as much as.
The statistics kind of say different, and to kind of drive the. Oh God, what I wanted to say just escaped me.
But I didn't know.
I was going to talk about the gender pay gap, right?
Yeah.
It kind of becomes substantial when a woman hits her 40s. We've not hit it yet, right? When a woman and a man in the same profession, when they hit their 40s, that's when it becomes more significant, right? It becomes more
the man earns
rate
more.
Becomes higher, at which the man earns more than the women, or more than the woman. So I don't know. I just feel like it is lazy. That's the word I was looking for earlier. It is lazy to not educate yourself on the feminist movement and benefit from the feminist movement.
So that's what
But is it in all profession though?
Yeah. It's not more.
I don't think it's in all professions.
It's more in the private sector. I was
That's the public one. Yes.
It's more in the private sector, and it's also taking the UK for example. It's more in the in certain regions that it happens. And then, but I want to say to you, feminist movement doesn't just talk about the Western world where things are a little bit more civilized. Let's talk about places like the UAE. Let's talk about places like Nigeria. Do you think that, you have choices right now, Talia? Because, I want to say you're with
I
an
think
educated man, and we have choices as women. We can say, you know what, I don't want to cook. You can decide, I don't want to cook, I want to order pizza. Not people in third world countries. If your husband comes back home from work and there's no food waiting for him, what do you think happens? We read all of these things all the time. You wouldn't even dare in certain regions, in certain countries, in certain places. So the movement isn't targeting. Go on.
Okay, so no, I wanted you to finish
Yeah, the
before I
movement isn't just targeting places where things are sort of, getting better and stuff, even though we're still working on things. It's targeting the entire world. It's targeting, making liberating women across the globe. So yeah, that's
I
let me
wasn't
let me
just
ask Ade something really quickly. Ade, do you think that we can raise children the same but different genders? Can we raise them the same? Can we On my Instagram profile, I have in my bio, I have a feminist raising two feminists. And my partner was like, delete it. I was like, I'm raising you, even
yeah,
though you don't label.
yeah, we can raise kids the same way, regardless of if it's a dad that is raising the child or a woman that is raising the child. Yeah, we can
We
both
can we
raise.
can raise we can raise boys, and you think that we can raise boys and girls the same without, saying, things like, I think it starts from when we're very little, that, girls get the Barbies. So girls are more likely to go into caring roles like nursing, like hairdressing, all this kind of stuff. While men are pushed by their toys already, they get cars, so they get to change parts, they get to change all that kind of stuff. So they're more
DIY.
likely to go
Yeah,
into exactly, they're more likely to go into engineering roles and, all this
yeah.
kind of stuff. Do you think that is something that we can do, or is it something that we kind of all? I am I don't want to say a victim of this. I would say I do this as well subconsciously, that, in raising children, the kind of toys that we buy
Yeah.
them are so
I
different
think, I think
that it kind of.
I think I understand the question. You can raise both a boy child and a female child the same way, but you need to bear in mind physical strength, nature. I'm sorry, you can say I'm feminist. I wouldn't tell a female child to carry 50 kg, but I can tell my male child to carry a 50 kg jerrycan of petrol. I mean, I used to fetch water when I was growing up. It's not the
So
same
did
thing that,
I. So did I. So did
yeah, it's
I.
not
so
the same thing
did I as well.
that will carry, that will carry.
Say that
I
again.
feel like it's also, telling the girl child that you can be the president and not the wife of the president, because a lot of times, that's what they reduce it to, like, oh, you can't get to that
First
position of
lady.
power, but you can become
You
the
can be
wife
the
of
wife.
someone
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm.
So
You know.
just telling them that way that you don't have to be second place. You can also be first place. You can,
Yes.
become this
Yes.
doctor, you can become
Yeah.
a president, you
Yes.
can become, things like that, really.
That kind of reminds me of when I first moved to Germany, and that was in 2004. And so in 2005 was the first year that Angela Merkel, who's still the Bundeskanzlerin of Germany, she was running to be the chancellor in Germany, and for me it was unheard of, which is the highest. It's like the president. So for me it was like, huh, a woman is running to be the head of state, to be the president. um I didn't get it, and I was telling them, if she becomes the president, and I remember saying to my friends who were Caucasians, I said to them, if she becomes the president, what's her husband going to be? So her husband's going to be under
The
her,
first
below her,
man.
all that kind of stuff. To me, it just didn't make sense. But this was me at the age of 16, trying to figure out why a woman would want to attain the highest position in the country. And that stems from how I was raised. To
Mm.
You cannot, even in Nigeria, they'll tell you a woman who doesn't have a husband has no business driving or owning her home or stuff. Because how are you going to meet a man? How are you going to do this? How are you going to do that? We limit women so much just so that men can thrive. And, you know, that's why I think that many men are like sort of against the feminist movement, because when you've benefited from
Privilege.
of privilege so much,
Oppression.
equality becomes, I think somebody quoted, equality looks like inequality, equality looks like oppression to you. So I think that's what it says, sort of. So to kind of bring this to a close, I think we've touched on it, you know, quite a few aspects of this topic. I want you to, you know, sleep on this, Talia. I know you don't like the label. And Mr. Aleshi,
like I said from the beginning, I regard myself as a feminist if we're strictly talking about the actual meaning.
Yes.
Yeah.
But when it
that's
goes beyond that, then I remove
that's what it is.
Yeah, but like we said, and we had, so there's no need for me to sleep on it, because I know my stance and I know where I stand, where it's concerned. I want equality. I grew up with Margaret Thatcher, so I knew that women could be strong. You know, I knew of her, and I, you know, so I definitely know that women can be strong.
If I ask,
I wouldn't necessarily still label myself a feminist, because I know that there is more to it that I don't know about, and there's more to it that people still run with that I don't agree with. So it's a matter of choice.
There's still
and
what?
For the
Sorry,
fact that feminism, there's still a lot that people still say that I don't agree with, and for the fact that feminism gives me that choice.
So you still don't understand it then? That's essentially what you just said. But if you understand it, what people say should be irrelevant to the actual meaning.
Hence the reason why I'm saying, for the fact that feminism has given me that choice to decide whether I want to be called a feminist or not, I choose not to be called a feminist. Doesn't mean I don't agree with what they're saying or what they're doing or the movement. I just don't want to, because before people will see the good part, they will see the bad part. So let me remove myself from that. And this is the reason why I don't have a lot of religion talks, because again, before people will see the good part, the benefits of religion, they see the bad part of it. So I'm a Christian, I stay a Christian, but I won't have a conversation with anybody or have an argument or have a debate about Christianity, because I know my beliefs. And that's just my stand, and that won't change really. So there's nothing to sleep on.
Okay. What about you, Ade?
I think we've kind of agreed on most things here, how the feminist movement, what it is. Kind of agreed what feminist movement is about. But I think what it is in context is, like Talia said, she's taking herself out because of certain things, certain people. The extremists, they would always be there. You would always find those ones in the forefront before you find them actually. This is what it's about. Like, it's like religion. The way the media has painted, it's painted Islam now. It's not a religion to be associated with. If you get to America airport, just go in beard. They'll ask you, have you carried firearms? Have you done this? They're going to have all those extra. And it is what it is at the end of the day. I mean, the movement has its motive. They have their reasons, and it's a good reason. And I'm in support of equality with women. However, but still just bear in mind, at the back of your head, just know it's a man's world, and women, yeah.
Ade, you shot yourself in the foot there. Don't go there.
Talia, after this, I'll have K on the line for 2 minutes. I want to have K on the line for 2 minutes.
It's a man's world. Wow. Okay. Okay, so I just pull this to a close. What is understood doesn't need to be repeated. And so thank you both, Oyinda and Ade, for coming on the show today. We really appreciate you guys coming on and enlightening us, joining in the debate. Thank you so much. So next week's topic is going to be another fiery one. We're going to be talking about the topic, can black skin truly be beautiful? Is black considered beautiful with all that's going on in the world, and with how black is seen, and how things that represent black and white. Can black truly be beautiful today? We'll talk about that and more. Thank you guys for joining in. Please don't
You're
forget to
welcome.
subscribe to our channel. Also, don't forget to hit the notification bell so you can be informed whenever we upload a new video. Also, don't forget to share this video with your friends and families and drop your opinion on feminism in the comment section below. Until next time, we'll catch you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.